The Phoenix Suns, last season they disappointed, so what could change? They brought in some new players, but could the solution have been right under their eyes the whole time? It's another edition of Southwest Bias.
Get that stuff out of here! It's Southwest Bias!
As always, brought to you by our friends over at Desert Financial Credit Union, Arizona's #1 credit union, rated by Forbes. I've got Espo, I've got Bo Brack. I am Erik Ruby. Summer League just wrapped up, but the NBA, it's year-round. And I got thinking, I'm like, you know what? What could change with the Suns this year? What worked last year, and what could maybe translate? I started thinking and thinking and thinking. You think new coach Mike Budenholzer, he likes big men that shoot threes. The Suns don't have anybody on the roster who's a traditional center who shoots threes. So is the solution a death lineup of Kevin Durant at center? And you can fill out the pieces outside of it. Royce O'Neal, Grayson Allen, Bradley Beal, Devin Booker. But that main piece is the 7'1" demigod who can shoot threes, pull up, everything like that, playing center. Espo, is that a viable option? Is that a viable solution?
Look, if you do it all the time, yeah, it'll be a death lineup, your own death. Look, for me, it's very much like a liquid diet, right? Sometimes it's good. Sometimes you have to do that because of something a doctor prescribed
I don't
or
like
whatever.
where this is going.
But not all the time. It's not sustainable. It will do damage if you do it for the long term. And I think that's exactly what playing Kevin Durant at center is. You do it in short spurts, and that's why it works so effectively. But if you commit to that as the main thing that you're doing, I think you have a serious flaw in your plan and how you're looking at it.
That's terrifying, by the way. That's a terrifying analogy, the liquid diet. I didn't want to start my Monday off on that footing, but here we are, and I agree with Espo. I mean, you could have packages, you can have lineups that can work out here and there, but at the same time, it's like, okay, we're going to take Devin Booker, one of the best shooting guards in the league. We're going to play him at point guard. And then we're going to take one of the best forwards in the league. We're going to play him at center and Kevin Durant. And then we're going to have Mike Budenholzer. He's going to also be the gorilla. And then we're going to figure out all these different options. Why do they have to be so against the grain? Just give me some traditional lineups in there, because that's what plays most of the time in the playoffs. That's what I need to see from this Suns organization going forward.
Okay, I get both your points.
Why do I feel like you're the guy that's going to be like, but here, look, the per 95, 36 minute stats.
I'm just talking about Brook Lopez. Brook Lopez shot some threes for that Bucks team. That's the data right there.
That's Splash Mountain. No, listen. Okay, here's the argument for it. By no means am I saying Kevin Durant should be the starting center for the Phoenix Suns this year. Not when you're paying Jusuf Nurkic that amount of money. Not when you have Mason Plumlee. That's not what I'm saying.
The whole thing you presented was a flawed premise to start with?
No, it's a during this last season, and I will point to a specific game, Sacramento Kings game. We had a takeover. It was here. Suns were down like 14, 18, like a good amount of points in the fourth quarter. The lineup that ignited the Suns, that made them come back, was Kevin Durant playing center. Kevin Durant was able to protect the rim, lock down at a different level last year, should have made an all-defensive team and was in the running for it. He is 7 foot, maybe even 7'1", can protect the rim well, and can spread that floor out. I am not saying he should be starting, but what I'm saying is you win so many games across an NBA season in little 5-minute stretches, right? It's the same reason that the Golden State, they didn't start their death lineup, but they closed the game with it. And so unless you're facing a Nikola Jokic of sorts, right? A big bruiser, 300 pounds is going to go down low. You need to play
Jokic face deep in the playoffs.
But I'm talking about specific matchups. I'm just talking about overall overarching. Having
in the
Kevin
regular
Durant
season, it's a good gimmick.
But even during the playoffs, you put out even Kevin Durant out there, bring Nikola Jokic out of the paint, make him move around. Kevin Durant at 7'1" with the type of shooting style that he has, the ability that he has, the type of pressure that he can put on defenses, while also not giving up defensively. Because here's the thing. Kevin Durant is a better rim protector than Jusuf Nurkic. Jusuf Nurkic is just a bigger body, so he's more able to guard guys like Jokic.
Yeah, it's because of the way that KD gets put in positions to be a rim protector. He's not the guy in the back of the defense that's in drop coverage trying to do it like you do a traditional center. Like, look, I'm going to put this in terms that come from Bo's
No
world.
more liquid diet.
No, I'm gonna put it in. I'm gonna put it in football terms.
Okay.
This is the Wildcat.
All right.
Sure, it can work from time to time. Sure, you can catch people off guard. Sure, there'll be a great moment like it was against Sacramento, but it's not a sustainable move long term. And Kevin Durant has said he doesn't like playing center in the past. Like, I don't want to put another, to Bo's point, another guy in a position where it's not his position, where it's not like in short bursts. But also Sacramento, you're playing Domantas Sabonis, a guy that's 6'10", 240. He's not a huge, a huge man, so you don't get punished on the defensive end. Like, I think it's a gimmick. I don't think it's a solution.
You don't see, when you say gimmick, do you not see value in it at all? Like, you think come playoff time, there's absolutely no reason to play Kevin Durant at center. There's just no value to it at all.
It depends on, what's the matchup? Am I doing it for 2 minutes because there's a matchup that makes sense? There's something I've seen that I can take advantage of for a short time. Sure, I'll try it for a short time, but you're gonna get punished if you do it for too long. And I think the sign of a good coach is one that doesn't just lock into his system.
Mm-hmm.
He builds around the players that are on his roster, and I think that's what you're going to see with Bud. I don't think he's going to put a guy like a Kevin Durant at center because he needs a center that shoots threes. I think he's going to build the offense around the people that he has and do things that highlight what Jusuf Nurkic does well, what Mason Plumlee does well, what Oso Ighodaro does well, that set up other guys for success. I don't think he's going to have a stretch five to make it work. Thus, why they haven't gotten a stretch five.
Right. And I mean, it's a great point. I think Kevin Durant, Devin Booker have shown this, Bradley Beal, when healthy, like their versatility is part of the strength of their game. That's why those guys are stars, right? But what do we see every playoffs is role players emerge, and you need to identify during the regular season. You can have these lineups where KD's playing center and Book's playing point guard or whatever, but at some point you need to find out who your role players are. And I hope by playoff time they've got a rim protecting five, and Kevin Durant doesn't have to fill that need come April, May.
Well, and I think Mason Plumlee in a vacuum can help with the rim protecting, but he's not going to be your starting center unless you trade Jusuf Nurkic and don't get a starting center back. Nurk is not a rim protecting center. Bol played when Bol and Kevin Durant were on the floor together, Bol was playing power forward. Kevin Durant was playing center. And so I do think that with all the role players that they have accumulated, and you're not really looking at, unless there is a Jusuf Nurkic trade, which might be an entirely different episode of Southwest Bias, a great rim protector coming into Phoenix that can play high level minutes, and a lot of them. And so my thing is, maybe you're not going to completely mold and change your system and, we only need centers who shoot threes, but having an option to have maybe your best 3-point shooter and maybe your best rim protector out there at the same time, surrounded by Grayson Allen, one of the best 3-point shooters in the league. You can either have Monte Morris at point guard or Royce O'Neal playing power forward. Again, two good shooters. And then, of course, Book and Beal with that as well.
Way too small. And this is a team that last year wasn't always the greatest at rebounding, and now you're going to put them at a larger size disadvantage. I think it does not make sense for a long-term strategy. Again, situational, short bursts, sure, but it is not a long-term strategy. Plus, that puts Kevin Durant having to get down low and take that physical beating, which you just had one of his most healthy seasons in a long time. Why am I putting him in a situation where that might play out again? It's one thing to have a death lineup with a Draymond Green who's physical, who's focused on rebounding, who's focused on assists and those kind of things and defense. And the offense isn't a huge part of his game, but to win and win at the level you want to, you need Kevin Durant to be that offensive force you saw last year, but not be jammed in the corner like they did in that crappy offensive system that was Frankensteined, by that coaching staff. You need to put him in situations to succeed.
All right. So I'm going to ask then, because obviously, look, the Suns need to get better. Right. And they signed some new players or some new wrinkles. So I want to know kind of what would be a change that you guys would make, a different X factor or something like that, in order for the Suns to improve from last season to this. But first, I want to tell you about our friends over at Desert Financial Credit Union. For more than 84 years, Desert Financial has been Arizona's largest, most trusted local credit union. And I know this firsthand because my grandmother was a member of Desert Schools, then Just for Educators, when she moved out here. Her account number started with a 1. I'm talking
and ended right there. That's how long she was part of it.
Desert Desert Financial has literally been in my family for generations, been taking care of us since they were at Desert School, since my family moved here way back when my dad was just a couple years old. And of course, been passed down through my family.
1983. That's how young he is.
Passed down through my family. I know both of you use Desert Financial Credit Union as well. They have Arizona Cardinals designs. They have some Sun Devils designs. And of course, they just have your classics, beautiful desert landscape and everything like that. But the best part about all of it is they want to give you $200 in bonuses for free. All you have to do is open up a free checking account online, get $200 in bonuses. Get started by visiting desertfinancial.com/200. So, Bo, maybe my solution, Kevin Durant playing more center, maybe it's just not it. I'm a man. I'll put my hand up.
You're
I'll say, you know what?
him in at the 5.
Listen, I'm just throwing stuff at a wall. I just want to see what works. So enlighten me.
Okay, Frank Vogel.
Enlighten me. What change would you make? What tweak would you make that would make the Suns better?
I need more of a traditional lineup. I need more. Okay, we've got your stars. You've got Kevin Durant. You've got Devin Booker, and then you got Bradley Beal. And then you work around and you fill out the rest of it, the glue guys, the role players. Just more of a traditional.
So you're talking point guard in that starting lineup?
Like we can. It doesn't completely get rid of Point Book or your dream of KD at center, right? But it gives you.
What about KD at point? Can
I like that.
I would play.
Now you're talking.
Hey, listen, you can play KD at all 5 positions, baby.
Yeah. Think about what it would do to Anthony Edwards, right? Like your point about Jokic is like, this guy's a 3-time MVP. Is he going to play your game or is he going to continue to play his game? I think you just continue to find who your role players are. Find who can be, the primary ball handler, who could be your rim protector. And those are the guys that are going to kind of fill in the gaps for this big 3 star heavy team.
So who fills in the gap in your ideal starting lineup? You've got Durant, you've got Book, you've got Beal, Nurk, your starting center, I'm assuming.
Probably.
So then you're looking at one more position out there. You're going to go in a forward, a Grayson Allen, a Royce O'Neal. Are you going to go in a guard, a Monte Morris?
Yeah.
What makes more traditional sense
I think that you can make it interchangeable given the scenario, whether it's Morris being your primary ball handler or guarding the 1, or go to, Grayson Allen, somebody with a, outside shot.
Espo, blow my mind.
I thought he was going to say Bull because it's just one letter off his moniker there. Look, for me, the moves have already been made. I think that's what Mike Budenholzer does. It provides stability and belief in your coaching, right? Which it was pretty obvious by second half of that season. They didn't have that last year. Then you look at it, and I also think the bench is significantly better than it was to start last year and where it finished, because Royce O'Neal wasn't here for a full year. You've now got him. I'd argue he should start and Grayson should come off the bench, which would give you more scoring than you had on the bench. But then Mason Plumlee is an upgrade at backup center. So Iguodala now gives you a third option there that you didn't truly have last year that's versatile. You have Ryan Dunn, who can come in and play defense. You've got Monte Morris, who's a ball handler that doesn't turn over the ball. They already have done the things to make this better than it was last year. And if people don't see it, you're too damn blind. You're blinded by whatever the rage was of being swept last year, or your disappointment because this team was put on a pedestal far too early by National and us as well. And they needed to go through the bumps and bruises to be able to have a better second season. Front office learned this is a better team than it was last year. And if you don't see it, I can't help you.
Yeah, I think on paper, you look at the roster, out goes Eric Gordon, out goes Drew Eubanks, in comes Monte Morris and Mason Plumlee. That in itself, in a vacuum, already better. And like Bo, like you said, that fills your more traditional need. Eric Gordon was running backup point guard basically for this team last year. He can't pass. Yeah. He's not a passer.
He could barely shoot last year.
And when he would go up to shoot, he would either score like 13 a game or it'd be like 0. Right. I also think the rookies, you mentioned Oso, you mentioned Dunn, giving those guys room to grow. There are a lot of positions on the court that they can come in and play well. But I also think, and this will be kind of my final point, whoever plays center, whoever plays point guard, whoever comes in off the bench, your 3 stars are obviously the engine that makes this car go. And you're looking at one of those and said, you need to have a better season than last. And I can see the path to doing that. It's Bradley Beal. Right. And so I would argue that building a more traditional lineup around, building and having different people off the bench to give Bradley Beal more options when he is the guy, is the pathway to Beal going from, last season, a lot of people would consider a disappointment. I think when you look closer and how he fit in and the injuries that he had to deal with and having to completely take on a whole new role, I wouldn't consider it a disappointment. But I do think that he can and should get better and needs to for this team to succeed. My last question I'll ask is, do you see that path? That Bradley Beal, almost like a national redemption arc of
Sure.
becoming that guy again and helping this car go from, doing 60 on the freeway to now it's going 100 in HOV.
Yeah, change the spelling of redemption to BEAL in 2024, 2025. Yeah, I mean, look, the biggest thing for him is, start at the 3 instead of in the training room. Right, that's most important for Bradley Beal, and for the most of their star power. I mean, could it work? Absolutely. I mean, we've seen teams turn it around in just a year's time. We saw the Dallas Mavericks, who we were burying at this time last year, make a run to the finals. With the talent, I think with talent, execution, better coaching, you can certainly make a run that you dreamed of making it this time last year.
The reason Bradley Beal looks like a disappointment in some eyes, A, is the price tag. You can't do anything about that. So, but B, this guy scored 30 in Washington, only scored 18 here. Well, guess what? Newsflash. He's not the only guy on a dumpster fire of a roster here in Phoenix. And 2, he's going to be the point guard. He is the Phoenix Suns point guard. So if he averages 18 and 7 with low turnovers, you're getting what you need out of him. Yeah. If the only thing that he can do is be a high volume scorer, then he should be your 6th man. Mm-hmm. And you should have Monte Morris or some other point guard starting with that lineup. But right now, as I see it, he's your starting point guard. You let Book play his natural position. And then you let, if you want, Beal slide over to that 2-guard spot when Monte Morris comes in, and you stagger it so he can be a little bit more of the scorer with Monte playing the point. But those are the paths here. And if one of those doesn't work out, it's going to be rough.
And I think at the end of the day, Bradley Beal could have the same exact stat line next season as he did this past season. If the Suns win, if they go deep in the playoffs, if they end up bringing that very elusive first championship to this franchise, and Bradley Beal averages 18, 5, and 4, like he did this past season, he will be celebrated instead of condoned. And so at the end of the day, whether it's Kevin Durant playing center, whether it's Royce O'Neal starting, whether it's more traditional players playing more traditional positions, the only thing that matters is the wins and the success. So let us know down in the comments below, how do the Suns get there? Am I crazy for thinking Kevin Durant should play more center? They can shake their heads all they want. I only care about your opinion, and I care if you hit that like button and that subscribe button. Subscribe right now to PHNX Sports. The march to 30K, we're almost there. 30K subscribers. We couldn't do it without you guys. Of course, you can follow Bo at Bo Brack on Twitter. You can find him on PHNX Cardinals, 4:30 every single weekday. Of course, you can follow Espo at Espo, PHNX Suns at 3 o'clock every single weekday. You can follow myself at Erik Ruby, that's Erik with a K, and on PHNX Sun Devils every single weekday at 1:30. So let us know down in the comments below, and we'll be back later this week for another edition of Southwest Bias.
Get that stuff out of here. It's Southwest Bias.